Chapter 10: The Problem with Positive Thinking. The concept of positive thinking is one of the better ideas to come out of the self-help literature of this century. It is one of those potentially life-changing concepts, however, which sometimes seems to work better in theory than it does in practice. If you were to walk down the street today and ask the next 10 people you meet, do you believe in positive thinking? Most of them would say yes, and some would say, I think it is a great idea, it doesn't work for me, but I know it works for other people. Positive thinking should work for everyone, but if it should, why doesn't it? Literally millions of people have been helped by reading the great books on thinking positively, and many of those people, when they wanted to solve problems in their life, turned to the pages of the books to find encouragement and solution, and they found what they were looking for. I first read Dr. Peel's great book, The Power of Positive Thinking, when I was 16 years old. And like many other of the book's reader, I found it was a book to be read more than once. When I discuss positive thinking, what's right about it and what is not, in seminar and training programs, I'm invariably challenged by someone in the audience who is a devoted believer in the concept. How could I possibly question something that is so clearly positive? After all, don't I teach a form of positive thinking myself? The answer is that the popularly accepted form of positive thinking is an excellent concept that goes a long way toward helping people readjust their thinking and do better in their life. It is one of the answers to helping us effect a major change in our lives. Almost it takes us most of the way, but not quite all of the way, and that is like a jumping 90% of the way across a chasm. We almost make it to the other side, but just making a decision to never again think negatively, and for the rest of our lives, thinking positively, while it may work for a time, cannot last indefinitely. Why? Because the mental program, which was already set up in our subconscious minds, is the old kind of programming. The kind that is pre-programmed to disbelieve new information which does not agree with the information already stored in the subconscious mind. If you tell yourself that from today onward you will never again think it negatively without at the same time giving yourself a specific new word-for-word vocabulary of the right things to say, you will soon slip back into the comfortable old habit of thinking negatively. That is why the decision to be a positive thinker is so often short-lived. It seems to be a great idea at the time, but too often it doesn't keep on working. I have known people who have become completely disillusioned about believing in any time positive simply because they wanted to believe, tried positive thinking for a while, and then stopped. Their old program literally stopped it from working. When it didn't work, their disappointment led to the conviction that positive thinking is for dreamers, but not for them. But positive thinking could work and work if the negative thoughts we are told to avoid are immediately replaced with the opposite. Your mental apartment. Imagine for a moment a mental apartment, the place you live with your thoughts. That mental apartment is furnished with everything you think about yourself and the world around you. It is furnished with your thoughts, and much of the mental furniture in this mental apartment is hand-me-down furniture. It is the old negative way of thinking which was handed down to us from our parents, our friends, our teachers, and everyone else who has been helping us programming our subconscious minds. They gave us the furniture which we have kept and which we use in our mental apartment. Imagine that most of that furniture, our negative thinking, because it was hand-me-down furniture, is weary with age, and the old tattered sofa is aching and worn. The chairs are broken and shaky, ready to fall apart if sat in too heavily. The pictures, hanging crookedly on the wall, are yellow and faint, and the kitchen table leans at an angle, and the dish is cheap and correct. No cup has a handle and long since broken away. Coils of bed springs show through, rusted and bent. The rack on the floor is more patches and holes than it is rock. In this furnishing, a strong new piece of furniture would seem out of place, but tough here and there might be a sturdy piece of furniture or two. They are too overrun in the chatter to be noticed at all. And now let us say that I agree to come over to your home and this mental apartment and help you get rid of all the old furniture. I tell you that I'm going to help you get rid of your old negative thinking once and for all. So at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon, arrive and we begin to carry all of your old hand-me-down furniture outside and we store it in the garage. We remove every piece, every dish, every rack, table, bed, sofa, chair. We take out every old negative self-belief and store it away safely out of sight. And by 6 o'clock that evening, we have finished, and I leave. After I leave, you stand in the middle of your mental apartment. It is empty and spotless, and there is not a negative thought, not a sofa, a picture, a book, or a chair inside. You look around you and think, this is great. I have gotten rid of all of my old negative thinking, and now I can be a positive thinker. And that's at 6 o'clock. You stand around, walk through your mental apartment and then stand around some more. A little later that evening, after spending an hour or two with nothing but yourself and an empty apartment, what do you suppose you will do? You will go out into the garage where the old furniture is stored and get a chair. A little later you will make another trip to the garage and bring in a table and maybe a dish or two. We are most comfortable with the thought we have lived with the most. It makes no difference if those thoughts are not the best for us. It's what we know. It's what we are most secure in keeping at our side. By 9 o'clock, you may even have to retrieve the trusty old TV one by one. You will begin to bring your old trusted and time-worn negative thoughts back into your mental apartment. Why? Because when I help you remove the old furniture, I didn't give you any new furniture to replace it with. I didn't give you any positive new thoughts to replace the negative old thoughts. When you decide to stop thinking negatively and do not have an immediate new positive vocabulary to replace the old, you will always return to the comfortable old negative self-talk of the past. If you got rid of your old furniture and stored it in the garage and you had no new furniture to replace it with, if I were to visit you again in 3 weeks, you will have all of your old furniture back in your apartment. You will probably have rearranged it to make it look different, but it would be the same old furniture, the same old programming you had in the first place. Replace the old with the new. So instead, let us say that I knock on your door and I ask you to come in outside. There stands a shiny new delivery truck full of the most beautiful furniture you have ever imagined. For the next 2 or 3 hours, I help you carry all of the beautiful new furniture, your positive new self-talk, into your mental apartment, and this time we don't store the old negative furniture in the garage. We pile it up in a huge pile and set a match to it and get rid of it. Don't give your old furniture to someone else and don't pass along your negative self-talk to someone else. After all, that's how you got it in the first place. This time, when I leave, I walk through your mental apartment and look around you. What an incredible sight meets your eyes. What once was a place of tattered hopes and breakdown dreams is now filled with a bright new beginning of an exciting new you, and the new mental furniture stands on the sturdy leg of self-assurance, and you have replaced frustration and quiet resignation with the enthusiasm of promise and belief. That is how positive thinking should work, and that is the difference between you just believing in positive thinking and actually creating it in your life. It is fine to throw out the old, it is essential, but it is also essential to replace the old with the new, word for word, thought by thought. And the problem has been that in the past, no one gave us the word for word vocabulary that we needed to replace the negative programming we had learned so well. And the right kind of self-talk is the key to making our positive thinking work. Without it, for most of us, positive thinking becomes wishful thinking. And wishful thinking is nothing more than saying to yourself, I wish I could, but I can't. And I can is a level I self-talk, the kind that works against us. And the concept of positive thinking remains an exciting and worthwhile way to think a better life, better and feel better about ourselves on its own. It will work for a time, coupled with the right words, the spatial activating, stimulating, directing words of self-talk. It can work for a lifetime. If we want to find a method for our minds that help us reach our goal, we have got to find that method which does not sound good. It has to work and it has to keep on working. If it does not, we fall short of our mark and we wonder why things don't go right for us. Wanting to be a positive thinker is not enough. Making the decision to have a positive attitude is not enough. The human brain says, Give me more, give me the words, give me the direction, the comments, the picture, the schedule, and the result you want, then I will do it for you. Give me the words. Chapter 11. The Motivation Myth. The radio talk show host was saying, my guest today is a motivational speaker and an author in the field of motivation. He concluded his introduction to the program by turning to me across the microphone and saying, Shad, are you one of those guys who gets audiences jumping in the aisle and ready to run out and conquer the world? I think my answer surprised him. My response was, no, I'm not. In fact, I really don't believe in motivation. The next few moments I have been the first time there was that much as that silent on his radio show. He had been prepared to talk about the exciting work of motivation, and he had just realized that his guest was about to say it does not work. But let me clarify. Some motivation works. It's just that most of it, maybe 95% of it does not. I recall reading the comment from the training director of the large international corporation. He was interviewed by a national magazine, and the topic was on what is new in training. Principally in the field of corporation and a large organization, he said that his company had decided to stop hiring pep rally motivational speakers. A motivational talk, he had concluded, was much like eating Chinese food for lunch. An hour later, you are hungry again, and I don't know if that's really true about Chinese food, but it is true about motivation. Most motivation simply does not stick. It does not stay with you. There are different kinds of motivation and different kinds of motivators, and one of the most popular kind of motivation consists of an audience of anxious listeners sitting enthralled while a dynamically enthusiastic speaker weaves for them a web of pure magic, the spun gold of riches and success, and for an hour or two he will imbue his listener with a new science of destiny, a grand new vision of their unlimited selves, all of them capable of scaling the highest mountain of their imagination, if only they believe that they can. The members of the audience are given a new lease on life. The only payment required is that they begin the next day as the new person, conquering all odds, laying waste their limitation, focusing on the goal and going for it. If you have ever attended a motivational talk such as describing, you know that I'm being somewhat polite and kindly understanding the magnitude of mesmerism that takes place. Company and the group of all sizes and descriptions rely on that kind of motivation to pep up their people, give a high point to their conventions and sales meeting, and send the troop away ready to go out and fight dragons, close more sales, fix problem fast, and reach new height of achievement. Large conventions and their motivational rallies have been held in cities across the United States. This 1 or 2 day major motivational event have attracted tens of thousands of attendees and used to spend a day of their life getting filled up with a powerful, motivational, and inspirational, surefire technique for success, and the clues that will lead to the unlocking of life's greatest reward. Popular lecturers and speakers, dynamic orators, enlightening the faithful with the contagious zeal of the great Sunday morning sermons, captive charm, cajole, and convince their listener of their ultimate potential. They fascinate, enrapture, entertain, and enchant. They do what they came there to do. They motivate. For the most part, these motivators do a good job. They get people thinking, they paint picture, a gallery of suggested dreams which show others that what can be, what they can do, and they are the pipe papers of success leading the average will be achiever to reward towards something better. They stimulate minds, inspire new ideas, reaffirm the self, get at it, and get something done, accomplish something worthwhile, set some goals, tackle the problem, and move forward. But there is a problem with that kind of motivations. It is external, and it does not last. External, temporary motivation. All external motivation is temporary. External motivation is the kind of that may wake you up, but it will not keep you awake for long. And external motivation is the motivation which comes to you from the outside. It may influence you to make a change, but it cannot make the change for you, and it cannot keep you from drifting. Of course, when the motivator is gone, it is the external coach who supports, encourages, demands, and reward. But when the coach is gone, So, it's the support, the encouragement, the demand, and the reward. Let's say that during the summer month you play softball on a local team, which has the goal of winning the local tournament. Your team is fortunate to have an exceptional coach. He expects a lot from you, but he also gives you a lot of encouragement. He pick you up when you get down, help you believe that you can win, and let you know it when you have done a good job. He's a great motivator, and he takes your team all the way to the top. And he has been your friend, your ally, your strongest supporter, and really, you relied on him for your motivation, and you got it. Then the season is over, and the coach goes home. What do you suppose he takes with him? Your motivation? He was your motivation. Now he is no longer around, and you have to get your motivation from somewhere else. Why? Because the motivation was external. It all came to you from the outside of you, and it was all temporary motivation. All of our external motivation work the same way. Keep giving us the motivation and we will do better. Take it all away and we will move mentally back to where we were before the motivation began. We may have progressed or grown or achieved something in the process, but we did so with someone else's energy. It was not our own. And that is why so many of the helpful attendees at so many motivational talks get bumped up, full of energy, ready to conquer the world, and then slow down or stop dead in their track weeks, days, or even hours after the speech is over. The inspiration they felt so strongly during the message is no longer there. The energy and enthusiasm which welled up inside of them is gone. The motivator left town, and so did most of the dream, and all of the often remains is enough left over to remind you of what you could have done but did not do. And that's because the convention hall or the banquet room was filled with the individual who, unless they had first learned how to do it differently, had taken their old computer program with them. The motivators were talking to a room filled with old computer programs which were designed to subconsciously reject the new information which the motivator was trying to fit in, and it takes more than an hour or two to override the old programming and replace it with a new. It takes more than a rushing speech to erase and replace this internal program which tell us we should know better than to suddenly believe that we are powerful champions of success. And lasting motivation takes more than a single reading of book, getting an occasional talk from the supervisor or manager, or the encouragement of a friend. The external motivation tells us that we can do anything we want to accomplish. Our poorly programmed internal motivator, our subconscious mind, says rubbish. We may believe the external motivator for our time. We want to believe it, but over long time comfortable old program patiently waits for us to come to our sense. Believe what our past programming has taught us and stop this nonsense about wanting to be a super achiever. Whether or not we are capable of achieving does not make a bit of difference to our subconscious minds. They are still acting on the tens of thousands of previous directions which told us, no, you can't. An hour or two, someone else telling us that we can't do it simply does not have a change. The intention were great. The talk was inspiring. The ideas were incredible. But when the coach goes home, so does the motivation. How much better it would be if that same inspiring speaker spoke to a crowded hall of positive self-talkers, people with a new disk in their computer just waiting to get filled up. A subconscious mind which has erased the old negatives and replaced them with a new positive is the most fertile ground for growth and achievement we will ever find. The only motivation that lasts. How about being your own motivator? How about taking charge and putting yourself back in control? You can, just by learning that all true motivation, the only kind of that lasts, the only kind that you can count on in internal motivation. Imagine having a coach that stays with you season after season and every day in between. Imagine not needing to wait for someone else to get you charged up and moving. Imagine being able to rely on yourself to always automatically and unconsciously energize your spirit, focus on your attention, and keep you in tune, on top, in touch, and going for it. Can you imagine never again needing someone else to prod or push you into activating your own best efforts? Your own internal coach is waiting to just that. It is your best friend, your closest ally, your strongest believer. It will show you the best in yourself and help you achieve it. It will give you direction, put purpose in your stride, strengthen your will, and give you unquestioned belief. It is loyal to the end. It is the coach that never goes home. It is the ultimate motivator. It will never fail you. It cannot not. It is you. Chapter 12. Not hypnosis, not subliminal. I'm often asked if self-talk is a form of self-hypnosis. In some ways, self-talk looks and acts at first glance like a form of self-hypnosis, but there is an important difference between the two. Hypnosis takes the control of your receptive mind and program it without the benefit of conscious control. Hypnosis is not effected during the normal waking state. Self-talk helps you achieve the same objective consciously. It is accomplished each day as a part of your normal waking state, and hypnosis requires the subject, you, to enter what is called a trance state. One of several levels of consciousness which open doors to the subconscious mind, and the verbal suggestion to enter the trance state can be given to you by someone else, or with practice by yourself. Using specially worded tapes, you can enter the trance state on your own. In the field of physiology and in certain area of medical science, there is still some disagreement Chapter 13. If it's not simple, it won't work. The more we have learned about self-talk, the more ways we have found to use it, and ways that make it easier to practice and learn and make it more lasting and effective at the same time. No idea, no matter how good, will work if it doesn't get used. When I studied the field of self-help and examined the many concepts available, I found some self-help concepts that made a lot of sense and could have worked, but they were too difficult to put into practice. Even the most ardent self-improvement enthusiasts, any program that takes too much time, requires too much sacrifice, or is too complex to use easily, will not get used. I suspect that some of the best self-improvement books and cassette programs ever written are gathering dust on the shelf or are tucked away in some closet, safely out of sight and out of mind, behind a stack of 2-year-old magazines, which will also not get read. Self-help books and tapes too often fall into the same category as home exercise machines that were used once and put away. They are like the barbells and gym sets, sand-filled weight loss belt, jogging shoes, and home study foreign language courses, all of which seemed like a good idea at the time we bought them, but they took too much work, so we hid them away and told ourselves that we would bring them again out of hiding and get started using them a little later. Instead of having a revert place in the family then, and eventually being worn out through overuse, the books, gadgets, and costly gizmos of self-improvement often end up on the bargain tables of neighborhood garage sales. I have met dozens of people who have told me about the self-help books and programs they have started but have never even finished, let alone put into practice. I can sympathize with them. Wading through a self-help program, which demands the monastic regimen of diligence and self-sacrifice, does not stimulate enthusiastic involvement, and even the simplest of the program are hard enough to stick with. The competition of daily living. Through some natural law of cause and effect, when we improve ourselves, the thing we would like to have in our lives follow naturally. Improve who you are, and by that same law, you will improve your life. The more successful you become inside, the more successes you will automatically create on the outside. But making changes on the inside is seldom as easily accomplished as we would like it to be. When we decide to change, we are suddenly confronted with a wall of obstacles we would rather not have bargained for. When we commit to change, we suddenly find ourselves confronted with some unexpected competition. When we want to improve ourselves in some way, we are not just competing with our old programming. We are competing with the requirements of daily living. Each of us has 3 resources, which allow us to get through any given day. Those resources are our time, our energy, and our minds, and what and how we think. Our desire to improve ourselves competes with the time we spend working, taking care of our families, and taking care of the rest of our needs. It competes with the energy we consume doing everything necessary just to keep our living in some reasonable order. Sometimes most days, for some of us, there is just no energy left. Our desire to improve ourselves competes with the demand which we or others have placed on us mentally as well. We have so many things to think about, so many small and big decisions to make, and things to figure out, problems to solve, things to consider, understand, and deal with. We are so busy taking care of our first that we have no time, energy, or thought left to take care of the one thing that could make all of the other things work better. We are too busy fixing the train to realize that we are on the wrong track. We are too busy staying alive to figure out how to live. And I remember the excitement I first felt when, many years ago, I happened upon what I thought to be the most exceptional self-improvement idea I had ever encountered. It was a simple idea which would require only that I spend 20 minutes each night writing my goals, reviewing my progress, and mentally visualizing reaching each goal I was starting, and I didn't have to be convinced that if I spent even a small amount of time each day concentrating on my goals, especially at night, just before I went to sleep dreaming about them, that I could achieve anything I wanted. It is an old idea and it works. What I did not know then, but soon learned, was that Even 20 minutes at night is sometimes hard to come by when you are holding down a job, raising a family, and going back to school with a full-time college-level course load. Just trying to get 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night is a challenge. When my mind was somewhere between studying for a physiology exam and finishing a business plan that was due to 8 o'clock at the office on the next morning, the 20 minutes I was supposed to spend each night working on my goal plan and improving myself soon moved from an exalted position of importance to an impossible chore. It's hard to study your goals when you can still keep your eyes open. My first experience with the self-improvement was not unique. The idea was great and still is, but as I was to learn later, the practical implication of the great ideas was not practical. The right tools. To this day, millions of people have tried the same kind of marvelous ideas with the same result. Of those, I doubt that more than a few thousand stuck it out and stayed with it. I applaud those who have, but I felt deeply for those who could not. Those who wanted to achieve but did not, or could not, had somewhere inside themselves wanted to achieve just as much as those who did. They just didn't have to do the right tools. They didn't find a way to improve themselves and would work for them. Maybe they were not as dedicated as the few who did succeed. Maybe the other commitments in their life got in the way, but they wanted to achieve, and if they had found the right way to do it, they would have. How, then? Can any good and true idea which clearly could improve our lot in life hope to succeed when few of us have the time, physical energy, or mental energy left over even to give it a try? The answer to that question is so very important. It is the answer which will make one idea work when another will not. Yeah, for any of self-improvement concept to be successful, it has to be simple, it has to be easy to use, and when put into practice, it has to work. Chapter 14. The new techniques. The techniques that make self-talk work so well are simple and they are surprisingly easy to use, and some of the techniques require spending time using them, but some of the techniques require no time at all, and there are 5 different methods for using self-talk. You might choose to use some or all of them, like silent self-talk, and then self-speak, self-conversation, and then self-write, and the last is tape talk. And yeah, an even better way. There had to be a better way. I know how well self-talk worked. I had watched it work for me and I had witnessed its result in others, but I knew that there had to be in an easier way. Chapter 15. Whatever you need in our position in life. When you begin to actively use self-talk for yourself, what you use it for first will depend on what you want to fix first or achieve first. But since self-talk becomes a self-generating habit, the more you use it, the more you see it, its success will depend more on getting started than on what you decide to use it for first. It makes no difference what you do for a living, what your educational background is, and what your problems may be, or what your goals are. It doesn't matter whether you have succeeded or failed in the past. Self-talk works the same for everyone, and the working of the human brain are completely indifferent to your situation in life. Anyone can use self-talk and benefit from its result. To give you an example of the many ways in which the use of active self-talk can make a difference, let's look at just a few of the circumstances in our careers and personal life which can be helped or improved with the kind of self-talk we are discussing. The possibility for using self-talk are limited only by the individual. There are as many uses as there are people with needs, and most of these examples at some time and in some way apply to all of us. Putting self-talk into practice. If you are in management, all of us are managers of one kind or another, and there are 2 parts of the good management. Effective management always begins with successful self-management. You can be a graduate student of management and never attain the essential skill of managing others if you do not first master the management of yourself. True leaders have their own selves firmly in control. They are in command of their actions, their feelings, their attitude, and their perspective. The second essential ingredient of being a good manager is knowing how to develop the qualities and skills of others. Both of these management requirements are directly affected by self-talk. If there are two equally qualified managers similar in every respect, and one of them uses positive self-talk with himself or herself and the other does not, and the same manager develops positive self-talk attitude in his or her employee, and the other does not, which manager has the better chance of succeeding and which does not? Managers have the exceptional opportunity to apply self-talk to nearly every situation they encounter every business day. If you want your business to compete, grow, prosper, put self-talk to work with your management team instead of replacing people. Start replacing their internal cannots with capable, confident self-belief. Self-talk does that, and one of the areas it does it best in managing others to get the right job done in the right way. If you want to earn more income or improve your financial stability, our earning potential is individually determined by each of us, and the limit of our income are set by our own internal beliefs. If you want to earn more, you have to start by seeing yourself as a worthy, deserving, capable, and willing, and by redirecting yourself to do so. Too many of us, when we want to increase our earning, make the mistake of tackling the problem from the wrong end. We try to figure out how we can earn more money before we believe we are capable of doing it. Talk to yourself about your self-worth. When you start to create a new picture of yourself being worth more, your subconscious mind will help you find a way to go about earning it. I don't want to oversimplify the task of making a significant increase in your financial net worth, but I have learned that doing so is far more dependent upon attitude, belief, and determination than on the position you are presently in today. If you are serious about wanting to increase your income, begin by giving yourself 3 weeks of self-talk for self-worth and financial worth. And then set your goals and write your plan. When you determine who you really are inside and what you are really capable of accomplishing, it is much easier to see what to do next and start with your programming. The rest will not follow. If you raise children, teach them or work with them in any way. A frequent story I hear is that of how the introduction of new self-talk in home has affected the children. In most instances, it is one or both of the parents who begin using positive self-talk to work on some problem or to help them reach some of their goals. Since the use of self-talk in one area usually spread to giving yourself the right kind of self-talk in other areas, it is not surprising that children, when they hear it used repeatedly in the home, begin to pick up and use it almost accidentally. It has always struck me how children accept positive self-talk naturally, even more easily than some of their parents. It can only be that as children we are so more willing to enthusiastically welcome anything which tell us the good things about ourselves. Our inner self would far rather hear the best of who we can be than hear a daily discourse on the mistakes we make. Children are closer to the original potential we were born with until we become programmed to believe what we cannot do. As children, we are so willing to believe in what we can, creating a better chance to succeed. Imagine a home in which one of the children was allowed and encouraged to listen to and learn positive self-talk, while the second child was not allowed to learn self-talk or benefit from it. If those two children were similar in other respects, imagine how each of them might respond differently to a situation in their young lives. What a child thinks about himself will affect how well he does in school, the kind of friends he chooses, how well he gets along with others, how he deals with the problem of teenage expectation, how he keeps himself in control when peer group pressure encourages him to take the wrong path, the kind of mate he will eventually choose, the kind of career he will follow, and how well he will do in every big and small area of his life. If there were two such children, one whose self-talk created a strong self-esteem, good habit, and a positive yes I can spirit, and One who was left to rely on the average answer programming most children receive. Which one would you vote for? I would vote for the children with a winning self-belief, along with the important characteristic handed down by heredity. The self-belief is the child. That young child will become what he believes about himself most, and parents have asked me why their son or daughter has chosen the worst possible kind of friends to associate with. All of us, and perhaps teenagers especially, seek out others who we unconsciously believe we are most like. If a child has a less than positive picture of himself or herself, he or she will select those friends who are most like that picture, even if those friends are the wrong kind of friend. Give the child a better self-image, a better self-picture, and he will choose more of his friends, more the group that fits the same kind of picture. If a teenager is told he is not good and believes it, he will find others who are just as no good or worse. Self-talk can change that. Because self-talk changes the picture, it changes the programming, which create the belief, which develop his attitude, which create the feeling, which control their behavior. If you would like your child to do the right thing, start at the beginning. Start with his or her self-talk. If you want to conquer a problem or overcome an obstacle. We have already discussed example of self-talk for solving problem. A problem can be anything we want to conquer, large or small. You may want to use self-talk to resolve major dilemma or simply to fix small past complaint, and in some cases even a small amount of exactly the right self-talk will help you take a minor step that creates major results. Simple words, important results. I received a call one day during a live radio talk show. The caller was a woman who told me then the listening audience that for 2 years she had not been able to get a job interview, and years earlier she had been a successful administrative assistant. She eventually quit working to stay home and raise a family, and now she wanted to go back to work, but during her time away she had lost all of it. The last stage of her provisional self-confidence. The more time we went on, the more she became convinced that she would not be able to get a job. For 2 years she sat at home and talked herself into believing the worst. She then told us that the reason she could not get a job interview was because she couldn't get up to the courage to make a phone call. Obviously, in a few brief minutes, I could not change her self-belief. She had worked too long and too hard to trying it to, in one moment, turn it around. But I could tell, just by listening to her story, that she really wanted to make a change, so I concentrated on the smallest simple step. I talked to her only about the self-talk it would take to dial one number, the first number of the telephone number she wanted to call to ask for an interview, and then the next number and the next, and so on. She said she would try it, and she went on to another caller. I was delighted, but not completely surprised, when 30 minutes later the last caller of the day was the same woman who had called with a job problem earlier in the program. She had done it. She had first dialed just one number and then another. I had told her earlier that if she just took a little step, one push button on the telephone at a time, that her next step would be just as simple. Just push the next button, and if she wanted to stop at any time, she could. But if pushing one button felt okay, go ahead. Use the self-talk I had suggested to her and push the next button. I think all the listeners and I were silently applauding her when she told us that she had gotten through all 7 digits of the phone number for the first time in 2 years, and she was going to her first job interview at 9:30 the next morning, and I will never forget the sound in her voice. It was jubilation. It was, I can do it, I did it. It was a small, incredible step. It took the smallest amount of the simple words of positive self-talk, and she did what she thought she couldn't do. She did it all by herself, and she changed in a positive and productive way some of the most important years of her life, and self-talk may have been simple, but the results were profound. If you want to reach goals, setting good goals is one of the most important means to achieve them that I have ever found. Setting goals and working at reaching them is part of parcel to becoming healthy, wealthy, and wise. Worthy goals are essential to true and lasting self-fulfillment. Imagine setting worthwhile goals and then fueling them with the non-stop energy self-talk. You could achieve them without it, perhaps, but the road would be harder. Give life to your dreams. Give strength to your vision, give light to your path, grant your journey the assurance of a safe arrival, set your goals for work at achieving them, and talk to yourself every day along the way. And setting goals and talking to yourself go hand in hand, but talk to yourself in exactly the right way, and you will find the road easier to follow. If you are not yet setting goals and writing them down, you should. If you are already an active goal setter, give to your goal the gift of your own self-assurance and add the word of daily direction and encouragement of self-talk to your goals. Any well-set-up goal deserves the benefit of well-said words. If you want to improve your job, in one way or another, we are all subject to the direction of others. We all have rules which we must follow. How you look at your job, your vocation, your associates, and your employer, boss, or supervisor will have an important effect on how well you do and how you feel about yourself in the job you are in. If you tell yourself that you do not like your job, you probably won't. If you tell yourself that you are unhappy with your manager or employer, you probably. Chapter 16, Changing Habits. Of the many ways you can use self-talk in its various form, you will find that all self-talk suggestions or phrases fit into one of four categories: habit changing, attitude building, motivational, or situation self-talk. Most of us have a habit or two that we would like to change. It is usually something we do that causes us problems or causes other people problems. These are the habits that get in our way, hold us back, or in some cases stop us completely, and they are all well-trodden paths which, even though they lead us in the wrong direction, we most easily follow. All habits are the result of our previous conditioning, things we learn to do, then practice them until they become what seems like a natural way to behave. They are not natural at all, of course, we were not born with any of them. They are habits negative programs that stuck. Any of them can be replaced with a new program. Habit changing. Self-talk helps you work on the specific problem. This is the self-talk that directs your subconscious mind to stop doing something one way and start doing it another. It is a self-talk which replaces a behavior pattern that works against you with a behavior pattern which helps you solve problems or reach goals by changing your actions. Specific thing that you do which you would rather not be doing, a specific thing which you would rather do but have not been doing. Let's look at a few of the more common habits with which all of us are familiar. Putting things off or procrastinating, smoking, working too hard or not working hard enough, arguing, ignoring problems, oversleeping, forgetting names or other important things, being a complainer, making excuses, losing things, overindulging, eating or drinking too much, being sarcastic, saying yes when you want to say no, never being on time, not listening, blaming others, interrupting other people when they are talking, being disorganized, not telling the truth, worrying, being a gossip, not setting priorities, letting your emotion control you, wasting time, giving advice that is not asked for, spending more money than you earn, talking too much, being overly critical of others, and not taking care of details, starting something but not finishing it. All of these are habits. I'm sure you could add a few more to the list, and all of them can be changed or improved upon with the right kind of self-talk. Whether a habit you would like to change is as simple as stopping smoking or getting something done on time, there is a specific kind of self-talk which will help you do just that. Habit changing self-talk is specific and demanding. It refuses to tolerate or accept the old habit while it creates a new picture of you acting and behaving in a way which puts the old habit behind you. It puts you into motion with a productive new habit pattern which replaces the old. Put your self-talk in the present. All positive self-talk, with the exception of situational self-talk, which we will discuss later, is written, read, recorded, listened to, thought, and spoken in the present tense. It is always stated as tough. The desired change has already taken place. By doing this, you are giving your subconscious mind a completed picture of the accomplished task. You are presenting your control center with the comment which says, "This is the me I want you to create for me." The more finished or complete the picture, the more specific the direction you are giving your subconscious mind will be. When you want to give a new directive to your subconscious, you would not say, as an example, "I'm going to lose weight." When you say, "I'm going to blah blah blah," what are you actually telling your control center? Tomorrow, later, some other time, I will lose weight in the future. or I'm going to, but for now, keep me like I am. And tomorrow never comes. If you tell yourself, I will, I'm going to, I need to, I should, I would like to, I want to, or I wish I could, I don't doubt that your subconscious will believe you. It just won't do anything about it. State your goal or the result you want to achieve in the present tense, because the subconscious mind does not know what is true and what is not. In time, it will accept what you are telling it and act on it, but remember, it will attempt to follow the exact wording of the directions you are giving it. I always do everything I need to do when I need to do it. I never argue or let my emotion work against me. I do not smoke. I have a good memory. I easily and automatically remember any name or anything that is important to me. I eat only what I should. I am a good listener. I hear everything that is I said. I'm attentive, interested, and aware of everything that is going on around me. I have the courage to set my opinion. I take responsibility for myself and everything I say and do. I never spend more than I earn. I'm financially responsible both for my present and for my future. I set goals and I follow them. I set my sights, take the appropriate action and achieve my goals. I spend time with my family and my loved ones. I enjoy sharing their life with mine and my life with theirs. Each of these examples of positive self-talk deals directly with habits preconditioned styles of behavior which frustrate us or hold us back. In each case, each of the examples did the change in the present tense. As though the desired result has already taken place, but each example state only a single self-talk phrase or two out of many which in actual practice you would use to create the change you want to make. When you are using self-talk to change a habit, affect an attitude, or create internal motivation, it works most effectively when you build a solid body of self-talk around the subject you are working on. One phrase of the right kind of self-talk can have an effect on your behavior, but it is only when you paint an entirely new picture for your subconscious mind that you will derive the full benefit from your self-talk. If you were to choose one of the examples which is used and wanted to change an old habit by using just one self-talk phrase only, no matter how often you repeated that bit of self-talk, it would have only limited results. But start with that one phrase and extend it, add to it, cover every part of the problem by including self-talk phrases, self-talk suggestions which cover every hidden corner. Remember, your new self-talk is the navigation system that you are using to chart your new destination and determine your course, direction, altitude, and speed. Stop it specific and be thorough, and don't expect vague directions, hint of solution, and shadows of expectation to get you where you are going. Get specific. When you use self-talk, leave no stone unturned. Isolate the problem, look at it from every angle, and make a list of every area within that problem. And add a line of self-talk to cover it. While I have found a few problems which can be solved with a single phrase or two of self-talk, I have found that in most cases any specific problem, no matter how large, or any goal, no matter how important, can be covered with a few as a dozens or so well-chosen self-talk suggestions. Let's use an example of the individual whose goal it is to quit smoking. We will use that example because smoking is one of those habits which everyone recognizes as just that, a habit, even though each of the other examples I have given is just as much a habit as is smoking. We would as easily use an example of someone who wants to stop the habit of procrastinating, arguing less at home, or wasting precious time doing nothing instead of doing something worthwhile. However, even if you don't smoke, you should be able to adapt the following self-talk example to anything you would like to work on for yourself. You should, by reading these few phrases of self-talk, very quickly recognize that self-talk is not one simple phrase or two. Self-talk is a specific set of concisely worded directions, and usually a group of a dozen or more combined phrases linked together on the same subject, which jointly paint a detailed picture of the better which you would like to become or the change in your life you would like to create. In this example, the old habit has been supported with a daily negative self-talk, the kind of we talked about earlier. No matter what I do, I can't seem to quit smoking. Smoking helps me relax. Or when I stop smoking, I gain weight. That's the old programming. But the new habit-changing self-talk looks at all of those things differently. In the following self-talk, watch every phrase for the picture it presents. Note the instruction that is being given word for word to the subconscious mind of the individual who used to think that smoking was an appropriate thing to do. Positive self-talk to stop smoking. I do not smoke. My lungs are strong and healthy. I'm able to breathe deeply and fully. Taking care of myself physically is important to me. I like keeping myself fit and feeling good. I'm not a smoker. I am proud of myself. I have more energy and stamina than ever before. I enjoy life and I'm glad to be here. When I see a cigarette or even think of one, I automatically hear the words, I do not smoke, and I don't. I have no habits which control or influence me in any harmful way. I'm in control of myself and everything I do. I always do what is best for me, myself, and